Hello, everybody. It's Marian Bailey with the Hip Senior Podcast, Book Edition. And today we are with Deborah Shouse. She is the co-author of this one, of Antiquing for Dummies. Her and her partner, Ron Zoglin, are the authors of that. Deborah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
We are delighted to have you. Okay, so Antiquing for Dummies. How did you guys decide to write an antiquing?
This was one of those examples where you're on a certain path and then life intervenes. So my partner Ron and I went up to New York to meet an agent who I wanted to publish a collection of my essays. But when she learned that Ron was an antique dealer, she was working with the Dummies people. And she said, you guys should write Antiquing for Dummies. And so we ended up doing that together, Ron being the quote expert. He hates to call himself an expert, and me being the writer. So it was a big relationship test, but it was also a lot of fun because those of you who know the Dummies books, they have a lot of humor in them.
Right.
And so that is one of my favorite things. So that book not only has a lot of great information for anybody to use, but it has a lot of puns. It has a poem in it. It's a good book if you want to learn about some of your antiques you have floating around at home.
Okay, so give us a little bit more information about that. Does it give like pictures and examples, or how's this book written?
Yes. So the book, what we did for the book is I interviewed experts from all over the country and a little bit all over the world who had very specific specialties in like porcelains and Japanese, certain kinds of furniture, because it's such a broad topic that nobody knows everything. And we wanted to get experts, and we wanted to focus particularly on things that people might be familiar with, might have either purchased or have had handed down to them. And so that was the focus of the book, to have the different sections of antiques and to give information about them that people could then use to get a step closer to seeing, do I have something valuable? On some things, you look for a certain mark, it's there or it's not there. But on many things, you do need an expert or an appraiser to help you, but it gets you a step closer.
I would imagine, like you said, it's such a broad range of antiques. Can be anything from plumbing products to fine artwork. It just could be a number of things. Is this a relatively really big book?
It's not terrible. It's about 360 pages. And we wrote this. It's been some years since we wrote this. But the information is still good because these are things that are 100 years old, at least, an antique, and that have been around a long time. Yes. And then after we wrote it, we kind of went on it was way pre-pandemic. So we went on a little speaking tour and talked to people and had people bring things in. For a while, we had a friend who's been an appraiser travel with us. And you could bring in one thing and he'd take a quick look at it. And so we had a lot of fun.
You had your own Antiques Roadshow going on.
Don't tell me
That's really awesome. Who are you hoping buys this book? Obviously everybody, but what kind of person is it? Person that's already into antiques, will they benefit from this? Someone who's looking to get into antiques? Who are you hoping runs out, here's this message and says, I've got to have this book?
Yeah. I think it's somebody who's curious and who wants to know more about antiques in general, or about some of the objects in their own home, and wants to have fun learning about it. Because that is what I love about this book. It is fun. So it's not academic. It's not dry. There's not too much information that overloads you. It's just enough.
Yeah. Sometimes those books, you can get lost in them and just get frustrated. So it's good that there's some humor in it and whatnot. Okay. So somebody gets this book. Is it like a workbook type scenario? Like they can open it, go through it, find stuff that they're looking for, put it down, 2 weeks later, find something new, mark the pages. Is that something that they can do with this book as far as like when they're looking for things?
It has a great index and a great table of contents. So it is easy to find a specific topic you are looking for in the book. So along those lines, yes, it's easy to find stuff. It's easy to browse in. It's easy to skip around. You don't have to read it in any special order. You can go right to your special interest.
Okay. And then normally my last question is usually, what do you hope the person gets out of this book? Is there something that you hope the person would get out of this book?
A couple of things. Antiques are their history, their culture, their art. There's so many different things. And they're a valuable treasure to those of us who have one, because usually there's a personal story. There's a story behind every antique. So I hope people have a good time. They get to learn a little bit more about something they may be curious about or they may have. And they get an appreciation of the craftsmanship and the artistry of some of these really interesting antiques.
I always, when I look at antiques, I've had to look through the years, like of realizing like the way things are mitered and put together and stuff like that. Those are things that just aren't done that way much these days. And I've really learned to appreciate antiques and some of the builds that are done with that. So hopefully more people will pick this up, give it as a gift, read it for themselves, and enjoy going out and doing some antiquing. Deborah, thank you so much for telling us more about your book.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.